Every morning is a fresh opportunity, but not everyone lives it that way. Some people wake up feeling lost, drained, and without purpose, stuck in a routine that quietly drains their life away. What most don't realize is that what you do in the first few minutes of your day doesn't just shape your productivity, it also impacts your success, happiness, and personal power. Brian Tracy understood this early on. He discovered that the secret to transforming your life isn't about big decisions or drastic changes, but about the small mental rituals you choose to practice the moment you open your eyes. Most people let their environment control their mindset. They wake up and immediately check their phones, letting messages, social media, and other people's worries flood their mind before even asking themselves what they want for their day. Brian Tracy would say that simple habit already steals your personal freedom. Because when you start your day in reactive mode, you give up your power to choose how to think, how to feel, and where to focus your energy. Here's something important to know. Your mind is a powerful tool, but it's also a muscle that needs training. If you don't exercise it, it weakens. If you don't educate it, it fills with noise. And if you don't guide it, it will lead you down paths that don't always serve you. That's why the first mental hack Brian Tracy recommends every morning is to clearly visualize what you want. Not what you fear, not what you want to avoid, but what you truly want to create. Imagine waking up and, before anything else, taking 2 minutes to close your eyes and picture your ideal day. Not just what you'll do, but how you'll feel, how you'll act, how you'll respond to challenges. This simple act of vividly imagining your best day creates a mental roadmap that your brain starts following unconsciously. It's like programming an internal GPS. And the most powerful part? By doing this consistently, you begin attracting opportunities, decisions, and actions that align with that vision. This isn't some shallow motivation trick, it's practical neuroscience. Your brain can't tell the difference between what you intensely imagine and what you actually experience. So by visualizing your success, you're training your mind to believe it's possible. And when you believe something is possible, it changes how you speak, walk, respond, and make choices. You no longer act from fear, you act from certainty. But visualization isn't everything. Another powerful morning habit Brian Tracy practices is conscious gratitude. And this isn't about mechanically listing things you should be thankful for. It's about emotionally connecting with what you already have. When you express gratitude deeply, intentionally, and with presence, your mind shifts into a state of expansion. You stop focusing on what's missing and start using what you have today as your starting point. Gratitude transforms your energy. It raises your frequency, and above all, it makes you stronger in the face of challenges. Many think gratitude is passive, that it means settling for what you have, but that's not true gratitude. Brian Tracy explains that true gratitude is an act of personal leadership. It's recognizing your power to transform any situation, even difficult ones, from a mindset of abundance. And that mindset, believe me, is magnetic. People notice it, opportunities feel it, and you live it. Now there's another powerful hack not many practice, but Brian considers essential: taking full control of your thoughts from the very first moment. Why is this so important? Because your mind generates thousands of thoughts every day, and if you don't pay attention, many of them become self-destructive. You think you can't, that you're not enough, that today will be another hard day. And the worst part? You do it without realizing it. That's why one of the most transformative practices is intentionally affirming what you do want to believe about yourself. When you mentally repeat phrases like, "I am capable of achieving everything I set my mind to," "I am focused and motivated," or "every day I'm closer to my best self," your brain starts rewiring its patterns. Not because of magic, but because you're interrupting the cycle of negative thoughts that usually dominate your mornings. These affirmations aren't empty words when said with intention. They are mental commands. And as Brian Tracy said, never say anything about yourself that you don't want to be true. Every word you repeat becomes a seed planted deep in your subconscious. But it doesn't stop there. Another essential mental habit is making clear decisions right at the start of your day. Tracy emphasized that one of the main reasons people fail isn't a lack of talent, it's indecision. That's why every morning he asks himself, what is the single most important action I can take today to move closer to my goals? Not 10 things, just one, the most critical one. Because when you pick one action and commit to it early, your mind sharpens, your energy aligns, and your day gains direction. Indecision drains you, it steals your clarity, it fragments your focus. But decision frees you. It's like firing up an internal engine that won't stop. And when you make this a daily habit, you don't wake up lost anymore. You wake up with a mission. And that changes everything. It's not about having perfect mornings or following a rigid routine. What matters is creating an internal space where you lead your mind, not the other way around. Because as Brian Tracy taught, your outer success is always a reflection of your inner world. And you build that world every morning with every thought, every choice, and every affirmation. When you understand that your mind is your most powerful asset, everything changes. You no longer depend on external motivation, approval from others, or instant results to feel in control. True control isn't about what happens outside, it's about how you choose to interpret what's happening. And that's a lesson Brian Tracy shared throughout his life. If you master your thoughts, you master your destiny. Every morning, millions face the same challenges: traffic, responsibilities, unexpected problems, complicated relationships, and decisions with no clear answers. But only some move forward with focus, calm, and determination. What sets them apart? It's not luck, and it's not fewer problems. It's that they've developed the ability to mentally anticipate their day, as if they've already lived it in their mind before it happens. Because they did. They visualized it. They designed it. They declared it. When you wake up with that firm intention, it's like the universe conspires in your favor. Not because everything becomes easy, but because you become bigger than any obstacle. It's like you're vaccinated against external chaos. You see it, but it doesn't trap you. You hear it, but you don't absorb it. You act, not from reaction, but from choice. One of the most common mistakes people make in the morning is letting the urgent dominate the important. They get flooded with notifications, emails, external demands, and before they know it, their energy has been drained by everything but what truly matters. Brian Tracy put it simply, if you don't start your day with what's most important, the rest of your day disappears into distractions disguised as obligations. That's why every morning is a test, an opportunity to choose yourself, to decide whether you'll live as a victim of circumstance or as the creator of your destiny. And that doesn't require a perfect life. It requires courage. The courage to start even when you don't feel like it. The courage to choose what's right, even when comfort is more tempting. The courage to try again, even if yesterday was tough. There's another principle Brian repeated with passion. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So when you decide to start your day with clarity, order, and presence, you send a clear message to your subconscious. I deserve more. I am ready for more. I am committed to becoming my best self. And that commitment shows. It shows in your body language, in how you walk, in how you speak, in how you treat others. Because true personal growth isn't something you say. It's something you radiate. It's something people sense. It's something you breathe. And it starts with the small, invisible decisions you make every morning. When no one's watching, when no one's applauding, when it's just you and your reflection in the mirror. In those first minutes, when your mind is still open, receptive, and malleable, you can sculpt your destiny. You can inject purpose into your day. You can decide which emotions to nurture and which ones you won't let in. And this act, though it seems small, has an unstoppable cumulative effect. Because a powerful morning leads to a productive afternoon. A productive afternoon leads to a peaceful night. And that peace lets you rest better, and the next day you repeat the cycle from a higher level. That is personal mastery. That is inner leadership. And that's exactly what Brian Tracy lived, taught, and proved through his own results. If today you feel like you've lost control over your time, your energy, or your decisions, don't judge yourself. But don't stay there either, because every morning is a new door, a new possibility, and you decide if you cross it as someone who just survives or as someone who leads their life. Brian Tracy wasn't an ordinary motivator. He showed you the map, but made it clear you had to walk the path yourself, and that's what makes the difference. You can know all the secrets to success, but if you don't decide to apply them, it's all just theory. That's why this message isn't here to inspire you for a few minutes. It's here to push you to take action, to pick one of these mental hacks and start using it tomorrow, or better yet, today. Because everything you've lived until now has prepared you for this decision, for this rebirth. And you don't need the world to change. You just need to change your focus. Because when you change how you think, you change how you feel. And when you change how you feel, you change how you live. And you're not doing it just for yourself. You're doing it for the people around you. Because when you transform, you impact, you shine, you inspire. And that in the end is the true purpose of these habits. Not just to create success, but to create a meaningful life. A life where you're the main character, not the spectator. There's something many people don't understand about the power of repetition. They believe change happens when motivation strikes, when everything magically aligns, or when someone comes to save them. But Brian Tracy was clear. Success isn't about moments of euphoria. It's about consistency. What you do every day shapes your destiny. And it all starts in your mind, especially in the early hours of the day. When you choose to repeat an empowering thought, a clear visualization, a firm decision, your mind starts reinforcing it as the new normal. It's no longer a passing motivation, it becomes a standard. And when your standard rises, your life changes. Because you stop accepting what you once tolerated. You stop living on autopilot. You stop surviving and start building. But that requires focus. Most people don't fail from lack of desire, they fail from lack of focus. They wake up every day with good intentions, but the world devours them alive. Social media, chaos, news, other people's complaints, all that floods their mind before they've had a single original thought. And when that happens, you've already lost control. You're no longer steering the ship, you're being swept away by the current. Brian Tracy said, "The first thing that enters your mind each morning shapes your entire day." That's why he insisted on starting with powerful affirmations, focused visualizations, and clear decisions. Because he understood the brain is fertile soil, and you choose what to plant. Plant doubt and insecurity grows. Plant intention and purpose grows. Plant gratitude and abundance grows. It's that simple and that powerful. He also talked about another principle that many ignore, the law of cause and effect. According to him, everything you experience is the result of causes you've created, consciously or unconsciously. There's no luck, no chance. There are choices. So if you choose to start your day with clarity, intention, and commitment, the effects you see will be extraordinary, not immediate but inevitable. That's why many people, regardless of talent or resources, don't move forward, because they haven't changed their internal causes. They keep thinking the same, feeling the same, and reacting the same every morning, and expect new results without real change. But when you take your mornings seriously, when you understand those first minutes are sacred, everything in your life begins to align. It's not magic, it's strategy. And part of that strategy is one of the simplest yet most transformative exercises Brian practiced. Writing down your goals every morning, not once a month, not once a year, every day. Because when you write your goals, you're reprinting them into your subconscious. You're reactivating your focus. You're reminding your mind what matters. And that makes you, even unconsciously, start making choices aligned with those goals. This habit has changed lives. People who felt lost, aimless, and unclear began writing every morning what they wanted to achieve, how they wanted to feel, who they wanted to help. And over time, their lives began to reflect those words, because what you write with intention becomes direction. And direction is what most people need, but few cultivate. If you wake up and immediately think about your problems, your to-dos, what you don't have, your mind will search for more of that. Because the brain always seeks confirmation of your dominant thoughts. But if you wake up and focus your attention on what you want to create, how you want to contribute, what you can be grateful for, your day takes on a new color. Your energy shifts, and that internal change shows in everything. Even your body language changes, your tone of voice, your posture, your gaze, because you're no longer operating from scarcity, but from intention. And that intention is magnetic. It attracts better conversations, better decisions, better opportunities, because the world responds to your vibration. And that vibration is created by you every morning, with every choice you make the moment you open your eyes. You don't need anyone else to understand. You don't need everyone around you to do the same. You just need to decide. Because when you change, everything starts to move. Some things will leave, others will arrive, and what remains is a life more aligned with who you truly are. That's what Brian Tracy taught. First, create change within yourself, then watch how the world adjusts. There are no magic formulas, no shortcuts. But there are principles that work. And these mental hacks Brian used weren't a trend, they were life foundations. Because he knew that if you win the morning, you win the day. And if you win the day, consistently, you win the year. And if you win the year, you're building an extraordinary life. As we journey toward full control of our lives, there's one more thing you must understand. Action is the key. No matter how much you visualize, focus, or repeat affirmations, nothing happens without action. Action is the bridge between your thoughts and your results, and Brian Tracy knew this well. That's why one of his most powerful morning hacks was to take your first important action as soon as possible. Most people procrastinate. They put it off until later, tomorrow, they say. Tomorrow will be the day I really do this. But Brian Tracy understood that tomorrow never comes. The future doesn't exist, only now exists. If you don't act now, tomorrow will be just like today. And what separates those who succeed from those who get stuck is the ability to take immediate action. From the moment you get up, ask yourself, what's the most important thing I can do today to get closer to my goals? It doesn't matter if it's a small task or a hard decision. What matters is starting. Because once you take that first step, your mind starts working for you. Momentum breaks, and simply starting makes the rest of the day unfold differently. You begin to feel more focused, more in control, more confident. But why is acting so hard? Why do we get stuck procrastinating? The answer lies in our brain. Our mind is designed to seek comfort, security, and familiarity. And often, taking action means stepping out of that comfort zone. It means facing the unknown, what we haven't mastered yet. And that triggers fear in our brain. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of change. But here's where Brian Tracy challenges you. Instead of letting fear paralyze you, use that fear as motivation. Fear is a signal that you're leaving your comfort zone, that you're growing. Instead of running from it, face it. Make it your ally. Because everything you want lies outside that comfort zone. And only by stepping out will you find what you're looking for. One secret to success is that it's not about eliminating fear. Fear will always be there. What you need to do is learn to act despite it. And the best way is by taking small actions every day. You don't have to accomplish everything at once. Success is the result of a series of small wins. Those small daily decisions add up to big results over time. Brian Tracy put it like this: do what you have to do, even if you don't feel like it. And this mindset will take you far. Don't wait to feel inspired. Inspiration comes as you work. It's not a passive state, it's the result of taking action. When you get moving, when you act, inspiration arrives because your brain sees you're committed to your goals, and it helps you keep going. Another hack Tracy used every morning was breaking his big goals into small steps. This is a fundamental success principle. Never try to do everything at once. Break your goals into smaller, manageable tasks. That way, every day you can move forward one step without feeling overwhelmed by the size of what's ahead. By doing this, you not only keep your motivation high, but also build a habit of consistent action that leads you steadily toward your goal. This approach, though simple, is one of the most effective. The bigger your goal, the more important it is to break it down into small steps. Instead of focusing on the finish line, focus on the next step. This not only makes the process less intimidating, but also helps you maintain clarity. When you know exactly what you need to do each day, you don't waste time wondering what comes next. You just follow the path, step by step. Here's another key concept: the importance of self-evaluation. Every day, Brian Tracy took time to assess how he had used his time, what he had accomplished, and how he could improve. Self-evaluation isn't something to save for the end of the year when everything is over. Do it every night before bed or every morning upon waking. Reflect on your achievements, but also on your mistakes, not to blame yourself, but to learn. Every mistake is an opportunity to improve, to adjust your focus, and to make your strategy more effective. This will help you be more efficient with your time and make quick adjustments when something isn't working. But the key is to be honest with yourself. Sometimes the truth hurts, but it's the only way to grow. If you're not honest about your weaknesses, you'll never overcome them. And if you're not honest about your strengths, you'll never make the most of them. One of Brian Tracy's most powerful lessons was about the power of focus. The world is full of distractions: social media, news, people vying for your attention, tasks that seem urgent but aren't important. Without clear focus, your day slips away without achieving what really matters. When you decide in the morning what's most important and commit to doing that task before anything else, you take full control of your life. You're no longer a victim of circumstances. You don't get swept along by the day's ups and downs. You become the architect of your destiny. And that focus, the ability to say no to distractions, is what allows you to consistently move toward your goals. It's easy to get lost in the noise. It's easy to get distracted by everything around you. But success isn't for the most talented. It's for those who can maintain their focus on what truly matters. Brian Tracy always stressed this point. What you decide to do today and how you do it shapes the course of your life. If you waste your energy on things that don't bring you closer to your vision, don't be surprised when results don't come. Focus is a skill you can train, but it requires discipline. And that discipline starts with knowing what you want. If you don't know what you really want to achieve, it's easy to get lost in the small things that don't matter. It's important to ask yourself each morning, what do I want to accomplish today? Not a long to-do list, but the most important action. The rest can wait. Once you're clear on your goal, the next step is to eliminate all possible distractions. Turn off your phone notifications, close unnecessary tabs on your computer, create space for yourself. Your time is valuable, and every minute lost to distractions is a minute you won't get back. Brian Tracy said it simply but powerfully. Every time you get distracted, the world wins. That's the harsh reality. If you want your life to align with your desires, you need to protect your time like gold. When you manage to keep that focus, when you truly immerse yourself in what you're doing without letting anything derail you, you start to notice something extraordinary: momentum. That invisible force pushing you forward. It's like energy starts moving in your favor. Ideas flow, motivation spikes, and what once seemed difficult suddenly becomes achievable, all because you decided to be unstoppable in your focus. But the battle doesn't end there. Once you start seeing results, it's important to remember success isn't a one-time achievement. It's a continuous process. That's why Brian Tracy talked about the importance of improving every day, even if only in small steps. It's not about being perfect, it's about being better than yesterday. And that mindset, seeking to improve a little more each day, is what will take you from where you are now to where you really want to be. When you understand that every day is an opportunity to grow, to learn, to move closer to your ideal self, you stop seeing challenges as insurmountable obstacles. Instead, you see them as lessons, as chances to expand your capacity, try new strategies, and adjust your focus. That's another mindset Brian Tracy cultivated, the growth mindset. People with this mindset understand failure isn't the end of the road. It's just part of the process. Because if you're not failing, you're not doing anything really big. Failure is simply a sign that you're trying, and if you keep trying, your results won't just get better, they'll be far more satisfying. But it's also important to be patient with yourself. Change doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. And the more committed you are to your growth, the more consistently you focus on what truly matters, the easier it will be to overcome tough moments. Because in the end, success isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. And in a marathon, what matters isn't how fast you start, but how steady you stay. Everything you've heard here isn't just motivational ideas or empty formulas promising to change your life overnight. These are proven principles. Truths Brian Tracy discovered through experience, study, and years of helping people all around the world reach their highest potential. And if you're here, if you've made it this far, it's because something inside you knows there's more, that you deserve more, and that you're ready to take that step. The question now isn't whether these mental hacks work. The real question is, are you willing to apply them? To start tomorrow with intention, to choose yourself, to commit. Because every deep change begins with a decision, and that decision is in your hands. No one else can make it for you. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to start. Tomorrow, when you open your eyes, remember what you've heard. Take a deep breath. Choose your first thought intentionally. Decide how you're going to feel. Focus on your vision. Take a small action, even if it's uncomfortable. Affirm loudly what you want to live. Be grateful. And above all, be consistent. Because the world doesn't belong to the most talented. It belongs to the most consistent. And now, if this message resonated with you, if something inside you moved, if you felt this was what you needed to hear, I want to ask you something important. Share this video with someone else who needs to hear these words. Maybe a friend, a partner, a family member, someone you love who you know is searching for guidance, direction, a light. Because if this helped you, it could change someone else's day, or even their life. Leave me a comment down below. Tell me what impacted you the most, what action you're going to take starting tomorrow, what part touched your soul. Your words don't just help me connect with you, they also inspire others who will read what you write. Together, we can create a space for real transformation, a community where we don't just consume content, but use it to grow, move forward, and uplift others. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss upcoming videos created with all my heart and focus to help you awaken your potential, live with purpose, and build a life worthy of what you deserve. Thank you for being here. Thank you for investing your time in yourself. Always remember, you're not alone. Every day is a new opportunity, and you have the power to turn your life into something extraordinary. It all starts in your mind. And everything you think with conviction, you can build with action. See you in the next video. The world needs your light. And together, we're going to shine it bright. From now on, you don't wake up the same way anymore. Now you wake up with intention.